So then I went into the more of the exercise physiology route. Came out here to Austin, Texas, where I currently am now to attend the University of Texas for grad school. And then I dropped out after, man, I think after like 3 or 4 weeks, unfortunately. And then went full time in, basically for lack of a better term, to say personal training in a private facility, private gym. And then have slowly created what is now with my fiance, what is called the Durable Athlete, which is, our brand, rooted in the four pillars of movement, breath, nutrition, and sleep, and really just striving to educate and empower individuals, everyday athletes and professional athletes, in how important those lifestyle habits and those pillars can be in optimizing someone's health and their ultimate, mental, physical, spiritual life. So yeah, I think that was maybe just like a good, very basic kind of introduction. Yeah, obviously, we kind of have our hand in a lot of different projects, but I'm sure we can kind of get into that. Jose, I know you'll probably kind of like, I guess, navigate the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so that's also kind of what I want to mention was I myself, I have a lot of interest, right? And then seeing you in the field, I mean, it's like you wear a lot of caps. So one of the things I wanted to bring up was how do you manage your time, right? How do you, because you still kind of live those four pillars that you mentioned. You said movement, breath, sleep,
nutrition,
and nutrition, right? So how do we still find time to take care of ourselves, right? That's something you've like preached to me as well throughout our time together. So can you kind of attest to that? Because I know we're all, I mean, I was just talking to Dr. Phil. He's our faculty advisor here. He's getting ready to go off to a conference this week for the APTA. And, the first thing we talked about on the call was, man, this is a grind, right? So how do you kind of still live the four pillars, take care of yourself, and then do the business side so well that we're still taking care of all our clientele, all our patients, right?
Yeah. That's
a lot. And that's a lot right there. So.
No, yeah, that's a great question. To be honest, I wish there was like a perfect answer. I wish there was like a very easy blueprint in terms of like plan A to plan Z. But realistically, like it's just a constant like balance. It's a constant flux. Like things are always going to be variable, right? Like your flight could get delayed. You end up meeting a colleague and talking with that colleague for hours. Your client needs you at certain times of the week on a random note. Like something goes wrong. Or even just, and that's just business, right? Like, we're not even talking about like family and all the other things that can kind of come above. Like, for example, my dog, what if my dog gets sick? Does that throw everything else off? Who's going to take care of him? Like, there's so many variables that are happening in life, I feel like, and it's just important, I guess, to just constantly be, I guess, like evaluating how you are feeling and like constantly checking in with like your lifestyle habits. For example, like I think for a long time, I was somebody that did not take care of me, like outside of work. Like my professional life was great. I feel like I was always very dedicated and true to the process. But to be honest, like I was lacking with sleep in terms of just not giving myself that quality sleep, not understanding, or maybe not necessarily not understanding, but like not respecting the fact that going to bed at the same time and at a decent time can have a huge impact, on your health and like how you just feel the next day, just energy and mood. So I think maybe an actionable step is just like one, like create a very sustainable like lifestyle routine that you can come up with and you could adhere to. Does everybody, if you're going to bed at midnight, does it make sense that you can, I just say go to bed at 9 p.m. Like it might not be the case, right? Like you guys might be, or you might be in school, you might have to stay up for something. So it's very tough to just say like, hey, you still got to give yourself that space to go to bed at a decent time. But, I just think it's tough. I don't know, man. I wish I had an answer, I guess, to say, hey, this is how you can go through and maneuver life and business and relationships and everything else. But realistically, like it's a constant check-in. It is something that you just have to constantly be checking in with. And hopefully you have the lifestyle habits and you value some type of things that are going to have a positive impact on your health. For example, like for me personally, I love just waking up each morning feeling like rest, recovered, and just like ready to take on the day. Don't get me wrong. I have some days where I'm not feeling 100%, maybe because I ate too late or I went to bed really late or was thinking about too many things at a later time. And the negative effects that it has throughout the day in terms of how I show up for the people in my circle, like they feel that. And I feel that, and I hate having that feeling. I hate feeling as if like I'm doing a disservice for anybody who's relying on me. So yeah, hopefully, maybe that was more went on a rant there. Hopefully, I didn't go too off
No,
guard.
that's perfect. I mean, that kind of encapsulates everything, you know, that we're probably experiencing. And I brought that up solely because as like student physical therapists, a bunch of us are getting ready to go on our clinicals. So kind of like that patient education part where we're talking to our patients about like these low hanging fruit kind of come in and it's super important. So I just kind of wanted to get your perspective on that. But jumping back to the beginning where you said you kind of dropped out of school, dove headfirst into the personal training at like a commercial facility. What was the steps to you, or you know, what drove you to make that decision to kind of just branch out, establish yourself, market that brand, and kind of, you know, leading into what we're doing now? Like the
100%.
three things that kind of decided like, hey, I'm done with this, let's go and do the durable athlete.
Yeah. I think for me personally, I've always had a pretty solid amount of clarity in like what my goals are and what I want to accomplish, and understanding that at times in life where like my day to day, my snapshot of that day, that at that point in my life, like wasn't the end all be all. Like I knew that there was more that I wanted to accomplish. Like in my mind, I was constantly just like, okay, what is the role that I wanted? And when I was a little bit younger, it was more of I want to work for like an NBA team or a collegiate team, right? Like I want to be a strength and conditioning coach for them or athletic trainer, whatever the heck it may be. So my day to day has to reflect like the best of the best in that field, and like who I would think the best of the best would be, and what their work ethic would be like. I've always looked up to Kobe Bryant, so I kind of feel as if like it's like you have to outwork people. Like you have to outwork. Granted, he might have taken it a little overboard by the 4 a.m. wake up calls and whatnot. He's messing with the circadian rhythm. I'm sure he probably could have did it another way, but like nonetheless, like dude was built different, and the idea of just outworking and just being more prepared than the person like next to you, like I always took a lot of pride in that. And so even though my day to day was teaching classes, and it was doing one-on-ones with mainly general population, I always wanted to get back to training, basketball athletes. And when I met my fiance, like for us, what we realized was working in the gym was great, and working with these clients on a 1 hour basis or hour and a half basis for their training session is awesome. We're seeing results, but like we could be doing so much more. We could be getting so much more results and creating more impact for our clients by stressing the importance of like these four pillars. And in the like early stages, we didn't necessarily understand how we could do that other than maybe just like, I don't know, talking more about it, bringing more light around it, getting on calls maybe outside of our gym time to like try to create those like that accountability partner almost, right? To be like that full-time coach, I guess, to really understand everything that to optimize health, that go like everything that goes into it. And so I think that was like a big pushing point was the gym is great, but there's so much more. And like these walls shouldn't confine like where our job starts and ends. Like it's a constant deal. So that was like a big thing. And then number two, I think just like in terms of clarity, like I always wanted to work with athletes, and I was able to work with a lot of athletes in my early years, mainly though football and a lot of NFL and a lot of collegiate players. And so that was great, but I was mainly just like the mobility guy. And I knew that like my education and my skill set was like, no, I'm more than that. Like I could really do everything here. I feel like not physical therapist, athletic trainer, like type stuff, but I'm talking at least in the training and performance realm. Like I can do exactly what the strength and conditioning coach is doing here. Matter of fact, I think even like at a higher level, like, and again, that was just, my thought process at the time. And because I felt as if I prepared more than anybody else. Like I know nobody was putting in work when I was putting in work in terms of studying and applying and trying to really push the needle. And so that was like another piece was like my environment didn't really suit that. I didn't feel like people around me and environment around me that wanted to foster that or emulate that. So I was like, man, again, there's no reason that, and also like there's no reason to be giving people, the gym, a stack of money in something that I'm really kind of like chasing for. It was great to establish my foundation, but at some point, like, walls, and you're just gonna have to break them and jump at some point. And so that's that. I think that was like the three things, I guess, Jose, to try to give like a clear like why we decided to kind of make that jump.
Yeah, no, that was heavy. I mean, I love that last point about the environment. And then I definitely, that point where you mentioned like these walls don't confine our work and what we do in here. It doesn't end outside of that. So that was great. That definitely hit home. Also, and I'm kind of jumping around here because I know I see my classmate in here, and we had a conversation with one of our professors the other day. You know, we had this patient case and we're like, all right, we're going to refer them to so-and-so. But then my classmate asked a genuine question, is like, who is this so-and-so? Like, when I graduate school, how do I meet this person? You know, where do I know to send my patients? And that's kind of something that I've seen from you, is like, you have a network of, you know, clinicians, coaches, athletic trainers, chiropractors, whatever it may be, that you kind of, that your clients trust because you trust them. So my question is, how did this network come about? Like, how do we as young clinicians, young coaches, how do we start to build this network fresh out of school?
Yeah.
Or what does that look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, bro. Honestly, coming out of college, I never really thought, like, I thought networking was like overrated. I thought as if like, oh no, they just tell you that, right? Like the people you know are more important than like what you know type deal, right? There's like a saying around that. And so I I didn't respect it at first. Luckily, the way that life happened for me, I was pushed into it because every single weekend for like I shit y'all not, like for the first like 6 months that I was at this gym. The gym is called On It Gym, which is out here in South Austin. I had seminars, educational seminars that were going on every single weekend. So like Saturday, Sunday, 8 to 6, 8, 9 to 8. Some of them like really late, like all day type stuff. Everything from in-house like education that On It like physical education like system had in-house, and then they would also have things like FRS, so FRA, FRC, Kin Stretch, and then who else would come by? Like the creator of Animal Flow, Mike Fitch, would come by a lot and host a lot of seminars here. There was something with Dr. Mark Chang, like a prehab rehab course, and then he did like a combat course. Man, I there was so many, everything from foam rolling to cupping to just everything. Like everything came through On It. And On It back then, probably like in 2015, was like a big hub. Like it was like a big kind of like company that just hit the scene because of Joe Rogan and those affiliations. And so everybody wanted to come in and like teach their stuff there. So Exos was coming in. A lot of people were coming in and just sharing their education. And the way the people who were setting that up at the time just had stuff going like every single weekend. And it was like wild. That was a main reason why I dropped out of grad school, was because I was like, man, the things that I'm learning on the weekend honestly are helping me create more impact right away, as opposed to and no offense to school whatsoever, just in my perspective, like the classes I took that first semester at UT, I was like, man, like I feel like I'm going like this way to get up. And in hindsight, who knows, maybe I could have stuck it out and done that, but I was just learning so much at that time, and I was getting my hands dirty. And during those years, I was able to meet, or during those months, and then eventually those 5-6 years that I was there, like people were just coming by and I was able to meet them. We would be at trade shows for NSCA, ACSM, ACE, all these different organizations, and On It would always have a booth. And I would be the person that would kind of be, facilitating anything within the physical side and the movement side and the education on that. I was also part of their in-house education team. So I was able to kind of, see from afar, how do you create a curriculum? Like, how do you create a system? And then like, how do you get people to understand that in a weekend setting, right? And like, how do you make it digestible and applicable right away and like non-dogmatic? Like, those are like key things that I had early on in my years. And to be honest, I think your work separates you too, man. Like what you do in the dark hours, like, don't get me wrong, like going to seminars is great, reading a book is great, but at the end of the day, like if you don't take anything from it and you don't understand how to apply that, then we're just kind of doing stuff. We're just going through the motions. Like we got to be able to really be able to, you know, come up with some stuff or come up with the techniques, come up with the method, come up with the system, whatever you want to call it, that's going to create change. And that's what I was doing at that time. So luckily physical therapists were coming and finding me saying, hey, like we need people to send to when they, you know, when we get done, you know, during their, you know, return to play process, or, you know, hey, general pop person, they're, I don't know, however many weeks on an ACL or a hip replacement, can you work with so-and-so? And so that was kind of like how I was able to further my connections within the community, as well as over time, seeing how they kind of handle their business. When I send them certain clients, are they getting, you know, are they able to find a positive, you know, result for the clients that I'm sending them? And then from there, it's kind of just kind of figuring out who's the people that you want to rock with and who do you trust, who do you feel like is going to make a positive impact regardless of their, you know, personality or where they are in Austin. Like luckily for me, I'm able to work with some of the best, like elite level athletes, and I need elite level people to take care of them. Like I can't just let a homie take care of somebody because he's my homie. Like you got to be able to know what you're doing. You got to be able to make some positive change here because my name's on the line. So I don't know. That's kind of, I think, how it all came full circle with like how to meet people, the importance of meeting people, and yeah, all that.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of jealous. I mean, it sounds like you were like at the hub of like some real growth in the fitness community. Yeah, that's intense. So then, guys, also feel free, please, if you have any questions, just hop in. I mean, like I mentioned, I work with Christian, so I don't kind of just want to hog the conversation because I can always pick his brain. So please just hop in if anything comes to mind. I'm still kind of just processing all that you said. So basically, just to reiterate, I mean, kind of just get out there, kind of get out in the community that you want to serve, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
There's a variety of ways to do that, but yeah, I think just starting it is important. Going out in Austin, there's so many fitness events that are going on, and not even so much just fitness, like you know everything, yoga, meditation. Like there's so much things within the health and wellness, you know, service area, I guess, out here
Yeah.
that people can take advantage of for free on the weekend. But also just you know, just finding people who like make sense, like whatever it is, you know, whatever that end goal and that end result is for you. You know, if it's working with soccer players, if it's working with general pop, like go find the hubs of those people because they're somewhere, right? Like for example, if somebody is a physical therapist or in physical therapy school like yourself and is like, man, I really want to work with hoopers, I like working with basketball athletes, like by whether it was by chance or whether you seeked it out, Jose, like you are working with us now in the capacity as a trainer, but with the intention of, hey, you continue to grow, you can be our in-house physical therapist. Great, they already have relationships with you, but then two, like, yeah, you're invested in this community. This community like knows who you are and they respect who you are. So you're just putting yourself in those positions, meeting the right people, you know, handling your business on a daily basis,
That's already
and
happening.
that, yeah,
So it
exactly,
kind of
exactly.
happens for you. It's the evolving process of just maybe growing up into the field. But that kind of leads me right because I was just kind of thinking back everything you said about on it. So I mean, it also seems that from like a standpoint as like an employee, you saw the growth this company had, which was sounds explosive. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't even aware of all these things. I mean, to me, I kind of think of on it. They're definitely a staple now. So where are you now as in regards to the durable athlete and like what's
Yeah,
next? Like where are we trying to go? Are we,
for sure.
is this what you envision? Like are we content?
Yeah.
You know what
No,
I'm saying?
I think, yeah, that's a really good question. To be honest, I don't necessarily know where we're going. I have an idea, but we have so many great people in our corner, and the cornerstone, the foundation of people that we have that are like really pushing this company and like really pushing the vision, like, you know, myself included in that group, like we just work extremely hard, man. We're so invested in what we're doing, and it's not like a money grab. It's never been a money grab, but luckily myself and my business partner, you know him, Jose, Zach, who started this our basketball training program that is now like taking off, and Durable Athlete is basically a co-owner of that company called Texas Pro Academy, where we handle all of our basketball training from like youth all the way to NBA. We have too many people and too many resources rooting for us and seeing the positive impact and change that we're making. And again, like it's never been about money, but the fact that we've always been trustworthy of, if we continue to put out good quality work and have a quality product and have quality people around and continue to just work hard and do well, like the money will come, the partnerships will come, and all of the eyes will eventually come. And obviously into year 4 now, and it's at a spot now where I never thought we would actually get a gym. I thought we would always just kind of rent out space, but now we have individuals that are willing to buy us a gym and be business partners with us, like long-term business partners with us. And like I can't necessarily maybe talk so much about it like right here right now yet, but like yeah, there's things that we never even thought about that are evolving as a product of everybody working hard and sacrificing for the greater good and providing a very clear-cut service at a high level. So yeah, I don't know if that answered maybe everything of the question, but yeah, I guess we're durable athlete, because I know it's a lot, but durable athlete was what myself and Natalie started. It's obviously everything health and wellness, and then Texas Pro Academy TPA is more strictly the performance training program that we have, again, for basketball athletes young all the way to the highest level. And we've always just rented out space in high schools and different private facilities here in Austin, Texas. We started with about 70 kids the first year, and now we're upwards of 350. So like the reach is like growing. So who knows, what the heck will happen next.
Definitely. And that kind of.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, please
sorry.
hop in, go ahead.
I have a question. So, well, first of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking your time. My question is so you said basically that you started like affiliated with a gym and you got some, like experience there, and then as a personal trainer, and then little by little, right, you made your own business. Am I correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about actually starting? So like, I understand that, you make your connections and everything, but like, how do you go from doing it affiliated with a business and then trying to like translate that to your own or with your business partner? And like, do you do it little by little? Do you kind of take like a step of faith and just like open up?
Yeah.
Like what was your strategy, and how do you do that without leaving any bad feelings? I don't know if I'm communicating that, because I feel like a lot of the times when businesses, or in my experience at least, like when you communicate to your boss or the owner, whatever, that you want to do your own thing or whatever, there's some bad water, or like, how do you go about not having that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. And full transparency, when I left my salary job, there was a lot of bad blood. Like it wasn't necessarily like ending on good terms. I will say this is like one of the first things that came up for your later question. Anybody who isn't willing to support your growth individually, right? Especially if you've been supportive of the growth of a certain team or business, like if they're not supportive of that, then you're not in a growth environment, right? So in my opinion only, not to say this is right for everyone, but in my opinion, that doesn't seem like a good environment to begin with. Then I will say I've had experiences like that, especially the one where I left the gym, but I've also had experiences growing up where I had mentors, who eventually started paying me during my like internships, that understood that like, hey, after several months, I kind of want to go over here now and watch this guy. Even though he might think, hey, he's not as impactful or as good as me. Like, why are you leaving here? It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you got to go see other things. You have to see, everything, or a variety of environments, so that you can continue to learn and grow. It's part of it. Whether it's good or bad experience or whatever, it's irrelevant. Like, it's just more experience is going to give us the ability to make better choices down the road. So I would say that. But for your very first question, like, was it just a sudden jump or was it a gradual deal? To be honest, I think that either one of them works. I have plenty of people, specifically actually somebody that I know who has worked with Exos here in Austin, across the street from On It actually, and was a physical therapist with them for at least 7 years in the company. And then just recently, probably about a month ago, went out on their own. And now they're doing their own deal, kind of like a mobile practice. I don't think the individual has like their own brick and mortar. So I know it was like a little offsetting for the company, for Exos, but to be honest, like, again, like that individual told me as well, like, that it wasn't an environment of growth to begin with. And that was one of the reasons why they wanted to get out. So it wasn't surprising when that was the response of somebody wanting to leave and do their own thing. She had slowly started seeing clients on the side. Like I'm talking maybe like 2 or 3, very minimally, but had to be very, sorry about that, but had to be extremely like, under the cover about it, right? Couldn't talk about it, couldn't promote it, really couldn't even scale the business. So it was like, to a certain extent, it almost kind of limited her being in both for a long time. And I would say the same thing for a personal trainer. Usually, like when I left, luckily, I don't know how, there was like so many different trainers that were all on an NDA and not an NDA, on a a non-compete in a geographical location. I was the only one for some reason that never signed one. And so for me personally, it was a little bit different, but even other trainers that had left right after me, like they did not pursue them. And, because a lot of them started doing their own private thing right away on the side. And so from that perspective, like usually in court, none of that stuff will usually end up, kind of sticking anyway. So honestly, I think it could kind of be like either way is going to work, right? Like you could see some people on the side or you could make an immediate jump. Mine was an immediate jump. Like I told my clients a week after I left, or sorry, the week of that I left, that I was going to be doing it. And so I had 2 clients when I left, whereas before my book of business was upwards of like 6 people. So there was like a drop off immediately, but I knew that, that was going to be the case because I knew for a very long time that day would come. So I just stuck it out. I just trusted in myself. I just doubled down. I had a very clear vision of I want to work with basketball athletes. So the like 2 months prior to that, I was already messaging. I literally sent probably 60 DMs to basketball training organizations, AAU teams, anything that had to do with basketball, even if it was like a men's league. I sent a message about, do you guys need a strength and conditioning coach? Are you guys interested in this? I got 5 responses and I had 3 meetings. And from those 3 meetings, I met my one business partner today. So, for me, again, immediate, but I also kind of was doing some groundwork. It wasn't just like, I think I'm going to leave. Okay, I'm going to leave. Okay, what now? Like for me personally, I don't do well like that. I like to be very organized and planned. And so for me, there was some legwork there. But I think maybe the answer is getting clarity on where you want to jump to. Like, what does that end goal look like? And who are the people that you're going to be servicing? And where do those people hang out? Is there already a hub somewhere? Like for me, there was already a hub of basketball players doing skill training somewhere. Why don't I just kind of come over here, show what I can do, double down on the relationship with whoever kind of holds the key to that community, and then figure out and see if we can make it happen. Hopefully, did that kind of answer both those questions?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Of course. I think there was like another question too, right, Jose? I popped up super briefly.
I had a question, but there's a few here in the chat.
Okay.
I guess we got some shy guys, so I'll read them off. So last one, most recent one being, any recommendations on how to go about building a training/injury prevention curriculum that is both digestible and expandable?
Yeah, I would say number one, you got to walk it first, right? So you have to put yourself through it. I think it helps to be slightly broken. I luckily have 2 torn meniscus, 1 in each knee. I have not had surgery. I've also tore my MCL, like a grade 2 sprain when I was in high school, my senior year. So like my knees have always been kind of a troubling deal for me. Luckily, knock on wood, my knees and my body feels better than ever. But in order to get to the place of creating a program, like to put your feet on the ground and be like, this is what I stand for, it's got to be battle tested. So like you got to go through it so that you can understand the perspective of the type of changes and adaptations you want to elicit, right? And then 2, you got to put it through some type of population, like whether it's some people you train for free, or you pick up a class somewhere and you can kind of teach your own type of curriculum. Like, I think that is extremely important. Like have it battle tested, be very rooted in what you want to do. And then from there, just allow as many people to digest it. Now, what I would say is like in the beginning, I did a lot of work, which I think we all have. Like I've done so much work for free. I've probably done, honestly, even to this day where I'm at in my career right now, since 2015, late 2015, like beginning to receive paychecks for like personal training, right? So for 7 years, I want to say at least for like about 11 years, I worked for free, like didn't expect $1. And it was just all experience. Now, granted, my younger years, who knows how much I was learning, but I was still willing to put in the work and be there. And so I feel like you got to get your reps. Like even just for young coaches within our program, like you got to get your reps. You got to find your voice. You got to know how to deliver it because the information is important. But like, I think, Jose, like the mobility that we were putting into our training programs was good, but the coaches that we have in our program weren't really understanding the intent that I wanted behind it. But that was my fault because I wasn't teaching teaching and helping the coaches understand this is what it's like. It's not just looking at a video online, right? It's not just kind of doing a couple reps once a week when you're training the kids. It's like being in it. It's like going through it. It's like asking questions. It's feeling. It's going through the sensation of feeling and doing. And so that would just be like my very, very general kind of advice is like, find what you believe in and then battle test it as much as you can with people that obviously, their opinions that you trust and respect.
No, I like that. That's solid. I hope that answered your question, Jonathan. Again, like I said, any questions, guys, please just hop in. I see a hand raised. Go ahead, Q.
Yeah, so first off, I want to say happy birthday. I know you're doing this on your birthday, so thanks a lot for taking the time to do this. It's been awesome discussion so far. I do want to ask a question, kind of piggybacking off what Gabriela was asking, and I think you also touched on it a little bit with Jose, but I kind of want to get the flip side of more of the marketing perspective of growing your business and everything that you had to go through. So you kind of gave a little bit of background on how you went to, from the start and the onset of the business to kind of grow your clientele, both from a networking perspective, like you talked to Jose, and from Gabriela, more of like how you were able to acquire some of your patients throughout the years. But I'd like to learn about what you learned that you regretted later on down the road in terms of marketing. So as of where you stand now, looking back, what were some of the things that you did from a marketing perspective or from the onset of your business that you wish you felt you did differently and that you can, kind of guide us through that you wish maybe we don't do the same mistakes?
Yeah, 100%. That's a great question. So full transparency, we have not spent $1 on advertisement for just the Durable Athlete app. And like that app has only been out for 2 years. Even within our social media, I want to say maybe the very first year that I started posting on Facebook and Instagram, I started to try to run paid advertisements. This is just me not even knowing what I'm doing. This is just, putting as much money on there as I can. And what I've learned over the years is like paid advertisement is great and it's definitely part of growing a business, but I didn't understand the importance of just one, consistent engagement on social media. So for layman's terms is posting a lot, especially like on Instagram, to be able to get in the algorithm and get your content in front of the people that are just following you. You have to post a lot and you have to have the high engagement so that people can want to push people to your page ultimately. So what I learned is in the beginning, I thought it was just, well, you just got to pay to play. You just got to, the more you can pay, the better you're off you're going to be. When in reality, like posting 3 times a day, like we do now is just like the foundation of just free, like marketing. That's just, there's no money that goes into it. Just simply, obviously your time to post into it. Right. And then 2, trying to collaborate with other people. I didn't like to collaborate. I kind of was more like me versus you type of feel in the very beginning. And so for that reason, I never wanted to try to cross promote with other people that opinions I respected or just did something similar within like the same field. Nowadays, like that is extremely important. And again, another way of free marketing and free advertising without having to spend any money. And so honestly, those are probably like the biggest two biggest things right there. I guess what I would say is not only just paying for advertisements, but then trying to pay somebody to kind of run your marketing and run your social media. Don't get me wrong. I do believe that makes sense for certain people. I think that it makes a lot of sense. for us, because myself, and I say us, myself and my fiance, because we're so upfront, up and like up and close with our brand, and we're very closely associated with durable athlete, even though that's something that we need to shift and mold. That was also something that we did in the beginning, a lot that we weren't very aware of. If we're growing a business and a brand, it can't just be me and you all the time posting on this platform. Me and you can't be the only people that are, you know, trying to show face on this platform. We have to be able to have other coaches and other people that we respect, you know, come into the community and share what their beliefs are, and share, obviously it's got to align with our, you know, our brand and our ethos, but we have to bring other people in. So it's not just Cristian and Natalie, because at that point, why don't we just create something called Cristian and Natalie, not, you know, durable athlete that can kind of stand for itself. So I just think, I guess it's extremely important to understand going into marketing, there's so many things that you could be doing without paying any money or yeah, spending any money that can maximize it. And then also too, you know, understanding, I guess, what's your end goal? Is it trying to be you, like, do you want to be the face of your business and your brand? Or is it, do you want to kind of drive it from afar one day? And so therefore it needs to be kind of bigger than your name and your face. Did that kind of give it a little bit of perspective there?
Yeah, 100%. And just for full disclosure, that was my background for a long time. I was marketing manager for a couple of companies, and my biggest thing was running paid advertisements for those companies that I worked with. So I knew a lot about them. But at the end of the day, the highest retention rate that they got for the customers that they actually went through the whole process with was a word of mouth and those who consistently saw a lot of engagement. The paid advertising got some, but not to the same level of final retention rate that the ones that you were mentioning got. So yeah, it's absolutely true.
Thank you. And thank you very much for the birthday. I appreciate that.
Oh,
Sorry.
of course. Yeah, man. No, thank you for talking with us during this time. We appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you, Q. Appreciate it.
I have a question. So when starting Durable Athlete, what was your biggest learning curve?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of them. You know, when I first left on it and started Durable Athlete and started training, you know, my own personal clients at another private gym in Austin, I just automatically thought, okay, all that free work that I've ever done in the past, like, still holds true. So everybody that I see, I'm gonna charge. Like, it doesn't matter who they are. I've worked with, you know, some of the best athletes, like professional athletes. I know what I'm talking about. I know how to handle the session. Everybody's getting charged like this dollar amount. And that was extremely stupid for me, especially because I was jumping into a new community. I'd always wanted to train basketball athletes and had not in Austin yet. And so when I finally found that community and started doing that, they didn't know who I was. And yes, I could say that I've trained, you know, professional athletes, but like, it doesn't really matter for them. And, you know, for myself and them, like, there's no relationship there. There's no trust and care there that's been established yet. So that was probably the biggest thing, was being able to kind of get over my ego and just say, hey, like, I got to start from scratch constantly. Like, it's constantly starting from scratch with every new person that you come into contact with. So, you know, in that light, like, I did learn probably a couple months after that, I'm like, okay, like, I just got to start training people for free. And so that they could see what I'm talking about, and then they could get to the point where they're actually going to start charging or comfortably paying for the sessions. So yeah, I think that was like a very big thing to come around to. And honestly, just like a new, like, it was one thing to be a personal trainer. It's a whole nother thing to try and like grow a business within personal training. And I'm definitely not perfect at it whatsoever. I'm still learning every single day, but there was so much more that came along with that. Like, you really, for like, just to maybe simplify it, like, for me personally, like, in the most simplistic and like blunt way, like, it was more business than it was even personal training. Like, the time I was spending, you know, trying to further my career, you know, and learning education, reading anatomy books, whatever the heck it may be, more like in the fitness and the health scene, like, that time was slowly dwindling, and it was more towards like marketing, and it was more towards like, okay, who's, you know, trying to figure out where our target demographic, where they're like hanging out. and then it was shooting content for the app, and it was like, you know, trying to find partnerships like with Lululemon and other companies, like those things, like I wasn't prepared for. I just kind of jumped in and just brought my passion to the light and hope that people were able to see that and kind of jump on board. So that would just be another thing, I guess, is like the biggest learning curve, and I'm still learning to this day, is like running a business and not just being a personal trainer. Like there is a very split there. Like I'm a personal trainer half the day, then the other half of the day, I'm damn near like a business owner. It still feels weird to even say that, but I try to manage and run a business.
Yeah, that was a lot right there. So see, I kind of want to ask a question that kind of ties it all together for us as students, because you mentioned you want to work with these basketball clients, right? That basketball population. A lot of us here probably, you know, whatever sport, whatever hobbies we're interested in, we have that niche population we want to serve. But I know you work with kids. You mentioned Gen Pop in the past, athletes of all type. I mean, even musicians lately. So as students, you know, we're not always going to be able to have the pick of the litter when we get sent to our clinical rotations. How do you, like, you know, still perform at a high level, even when it's like a population that really doesn't interest you, or, you know, you're with these younger kids and they're just, you know, not really in it there. You don't know why you're there. How do you kind of still provide that top-notch service?
Man, is you know, you could probably use other words for it, but it's faith and it's mental fortitude and having a very clear vision on where your end goal is. Just because you are somewhere today doesn't mean that that's where you're going to be forever, right? So I think it's extremely important when I say faith, like you got to have faith that the light at the end of the tunnel is coming, man. Like where you want to be is coming, but obviously it doesn't come without sacrifices. It doesn't come without work. Like sweat equity, man. Everybody has to pay it. Like we all got to be doing things at on it. Like I was working maybe with athletes like 3 months out the year, and so 9 months out the year is just general population stuff and clients. And don't get me wrong, I still see general population clients, but I'll be honest, like I was maybe seeing, you know, man, I don't know, maybe anywhere between like 10 to 15 at any point. And now it's like at 7 to 8. Yeah, about 7 now, actually, about 7. So like that is slowly dwindled because it's fallen into line with our business model, right? We want to get our trainers, personal training clients, hopefully some athletes, but also probably some going to be general population. And like that's just what it is. Like I've always known that that's where I wanted to get into one day, but at one point that wasn't the case. And so it's just having the faith, man. It's just having the faith and the consistent work ethic. Well, yeah, the work ethic behind the clarity of understanding where you want to take it one day. So easier said than done. There's going to be dog days. There's going to be days where you don't feel great and that you're doing things that you don't want to be doing with people, with the populations maybe you don't want to be doing. Maybe you think you're more high level. Maybe you don't think you're that level yet. You want to kind of be at a different level. Like whatever it is, man, like your time is coming. Your time is coming. You just got to stay consistent. You just got to stay in the batter's box, man. Like, you know, again, way easier said than done. But, you know, I'm even finding myself in those situations today. Like my day-to-day, what I'm doing right now on a day-to-day is not what I want to be doing in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. I love what I do, but the day-to-day, there's certain things that I don't love, but they're sacrifices. So I feel like at every point, even when you're like still doing the things you want to do, right? Working with basketball players, traveling, doing all the things, like you're still going to be doing things that you don't want to do usually. You know, I guess I could set my life up where people are handling stuff for me that I'm doing, but I decide not to, and I choose not to.
No, that was honestly beautifully said, man. I love that answer. Our time is coming. Definitely. I think that's just really a great way to end it too. Kind of just be respectful of your time, especially on your day today. But I really just got one last question. I know you mentioned Kobe Bryant. You know, I hate to get all political here, but what's going on with your Lakers, man?
I knew it was gonna be something. I knew it was gonna be. Man, I'm gonna take the high road like LeBron did in his last interview when people were asking about Westbrook and say I'm not here to talk about all that right now.
I love that.
Hopefully the Lakers make a trade and we turn it around. But yeah, right now Laker fans everywhere are hurting.
Yeah, it's early in the season. I still see a hand up. John A, do you have another question? Okay, cool. Just checking. So yeah, guys, any other questions before we let Cristian go here? Again, Cristian, man, thank you for your time. I think everyone definitely had a lot of takeaways. Oh, look, we got a question here. Someone said, oh, Sarkis mentioned it twice. He said, are there any opportunities to shadow you guys? Sounds like a team I would want to learn from. He said, any way we can get involved with the durable athlete.
Yeah, definitely, bro. You can, Jose, would you want to, I'm sure you have that individual's information.
Yeah, totally.
Would you want to just maybe send them our email? Yeah,
Okay.
you can just send, what's it called? My email. Matter of fact, hold on. I guess I can do it here. I'm tripping. I'm sorry. Let me see. Chat. I'll put my email right here.
And then actually someone put contact info for future questions. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think IG would be the best place to kind of reach out and talk to Cristian, kind of learn from him, kind of just to plug ourselves in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays. If you guys are in Texas, 7:45 a.m. Central Time, we usually got somebody going live on Instagram. So, you know, you could get maybe a little glimpse of what we got going on there as well.
Yes, 100%. Thank you for that, bro. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Check out the app as well, guys.
I'm putting in my my email, but also like my Instagram, both the durable athlete and my own personal. But yeah, like, you know, email, Instagram, DM, all that type of stuff, y'all is perfectly fine. Like I'll always getting back to people for sure.
I love that, man. Well, thank you again. Happy birthday, man. Enjoy your night.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Happy birthday, Cristian. Thanks so much for coming on, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.